So I've already made some videos like this in the past, so I'm going to make this nice and quick. I just want to show you how I created that impulse response that was eventually the Van Halen tone I did. You can find that linked at the description or just at the end of the video. I'll have a little click card thing. So it's pretty simple. I have the original track here. If you listen to that, it's very bright, very not what this one sounds like, because this is the one that I recorded. Which is very dark, very dull, and that's coming straight from this tone here, which is primarily made up of tube 3, which is my gain, and that sounds like this if I turn those off. Then we turn them on. Lots of gain. Now I do have archetype plenty here, which is a neural DSP plugin. This is simply just for the gate. After that, I have specifically chosen THU Slate because it has a good plexi in here, and of course the plexi, I'm just cranking the shit out of everything. The reason I really chose it though is you can change the tubes, which is what Eddie did, and I changed it to 6L6s, and then you can also change the variac. And so I've done that as well. That's super huge for the tone. And then after that, I go into Helix Native, which is really just my impulse response loader, and it has a flanger. And then we got some panned reverb here, one big room and then one smaller room, and that sounds like this. We turn that off and we get mono. In the original track, obviously they have it panned, so that's what I went for. And then finally, to finish it all out, I just have one master reverb that is really light, just to have some extra wideness, you know. There's a simple breakdown of the chain. Now when it comes to actually matching, I'm using Math Audio microphone EQ to get an EQ. Like I said, I already made this video earlier. I accidentally didn't record the original track into it. I didn't have C turned up, which is for my routing, so I fucked up there. So I'm pretty much just giving you the quick rundown. So the way this is going to go is I'm going to pan this to the right, which is my pre-recorded guitar track. And I'm going to pan the original, that we're trying to match to the left, because that's how it is inside of Math Audio. The reference is on the left, the reference is the original that you're trying to match. And then I'm going to make sure that they're both being set to F, which is obviously the plugin. It's on here. And then inside this plugin, I'm going to turn off the power for it, and then I'm going to start it. And when it's turned off and you start it, it doesn't actually do it. And I have a macro set to play and turn it on at the same time, so it starts at the same spot every single time. That way it matches up nice and good. I'm gonna make sure they're gain matched real quick, and then I'll do that. All right, so I got them decently gain matched. So now I'm going to press my macro. Now it's got that matched up. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it on the original track. And what this is going to end up doing is making it mono, because Math Audio is a mono plugin. So then I have to turn this to mono, the track we're matching to. It's important that you do your gain staging when you're doing this whole process, because the Math Audio heavily relies on that, because it automatically adjusts the gain for you. And I've had multiple instances where if I made an impulse out of it at the end, it ear raped the fuck out of me. And so it's really important to keep note of that. Anyway, we have that done. I'm gonna go ahead and do it again. So it's finished that one, and then we're going to take that once again, we're going to paste it here, and our gain staging shouldn't matter as much this time, but let's listen to it early on. Right, it already sounds a lot more close, and that's pretty much the gist of that. That's the whole process. I just do that a bunch of times till the line goes flat. I'm going to go ahead and show you now how to make an impulse response of that. And so I'm going to group these tracks. I'm going to cut them, and I have this track here which has just a raw straight impulse, and this is going to be in the description of the video. You can download this so you can do this yourself. And then on this track I'm going to paste those two plugins. I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to export it. We'll just call it Van Halen 3. And so now what's really cool about that is now that we've, created that impulse response, we can go straight to my guitar track. I can find BoogX, which is going to be my impulse response loader for this. I'm going to turn off this little dot here, this in the graph, and I'm going to turn off the amp and the reverb sections. And I'm going to go on my desktop and I'm going to find Van Halen 3. And now if I play the original, or if I play the track, it's created an impulse of it, and it's really simple. It's how I do that. Obviously, the impulses I made are a lot more detailed than just 2 instances of math audio. I just wanted to show you my whole process for how I do it. Just to give you an example, here's how the one that I made earlier sounds. If we turn the original on with that, some gain matching issues, but it's really close. And I did the same thing, for example, with Randy Rhoads. If I play this guitar, doesn't really sound like Randy. Whereas if I turn the impulse response on, that's pretty much dead on Randy. That's how I do it. I take a fuckload of math audio microphone EQ, because it's just the best program for matching an EQ, and then I turn it into an impulse response, and that's it. Of course, I also am matching as much of the signal chain as possible with the plugin variants of the original signal chain that they would have been using. For example, Randy Rhoads had that MXR distortion and then an MXR 10 band that I'm kind of trying to copy the values with a Pro Q, and of course in this case Plenty is just a gate. TH-US Slate again, but it's with the Marshall Super Lead. Amp room with the Marshall cabinets he would have been using. I'm still trying to copy that sort of stuff. Yngwie's the same way. I have a guitar here that has humbuckers in it, but I've EQ matched fucking single coils so I can have a Yngwie tone. Not the best lead player, but Yngwie, it's the whole deal. It's just impulse responses that I've created. With Yngwie, of course, I just kept the fucking math audios because they're so violent I couldn't make impulses of them. But whatever. There's that. Thanks for watching. Go subscribe.